Hello, my wonderful, beautiful friends, guys. Welcome back to our /EntitledPeople, where people truly think it's all about them and no one else matters. And in today's episode, my goodness, guys, we've got entitled customers, horrible Karen moms, store robberies, and one Karen who gets traumatized after commenting on somebody in public. It's a wild one today, so sit back, relax, and try not to shake your heads too hard, guys. Let's dive in. So my boyfriend turned 23 last weekend, and we went to this small Italian place that's first come, first serve. It's one of those cozy spots where the tables are way too close together, so you can basically hear every conversation around you. Anyways, we finally get a table after waiting 30 minutes. We order a bottle of wine, and that's when this family walks in. A mom, a dad, 2 kids, and a teenage boy who looks like he'd rather be anywhere else. The hostess tells them it'll be a 25-minute wait. The mom immediately starts complaining that her kids are hungry, that it's ridiculous that people are taking up big tables when they're just couples. And guess who she points at? If you guessed my boyfriend and I, you would be right. Well, if that wasn't bad enough, the woman comes over, leans on our table, and she goes, "You two don't mind moving so my family can sit, right? You can wait a bit longer, you're young." Now, hearing that, I literally thought she was joking. My boyfriend just laughs awkwardly, and he said, actually, it's my birthday. She then goes, "Then you should be a gentleman, and you should offer your seat to a mother with hungry kids." The woman did get pretty loud, so the waitress stepped in, and she told her that she can't just ask people to give up tables. The mom rolls her eyes, huffed off, and she whispered loud enough for us to hear, "People these days, they have no respect." Her husband looked mortified. The rest of the night, she just kept glaring over like we'd personally ruined her evening. So yeah, happy birthday, babe. Here's a free side of audacity. Yeah, you gotta love that classic Karen move of, you need to go because we are more hungry than you. The fact that people use their kids to try to get what they want is ridiculous, right? Like the audacity of that Karen to tell OP's boyfriend to be a gentleman and offer up his seat on his birthday, no less. Like maybe if you used your manners, there's like a 10% chance that would happen. But for a rude, entitled person who's that demanding, I don't know who would give up their seat. And if you thought that post was over the top, listen to this next story, guys. It's wild. So this story is truly cruel. The closest person to me in the whole world is my grandmother. She was the one who saved me when my mother was treating me like a sack of garbage. When my mother threw me out between the ages of 13 and 16, I knew I could take a taxi in the middle of the night to go to my grandma's. She would come downstairs at any hour and pay the fare and take me in for the night. The point is, Grandma was always there for me. And this grandma, astonishingly, is my mother's mother. And she's fully and painfully aware that her daughter is a monster, not a human being. She knows exactly how much harm my mother has caused me. That said, a few years ago, my grandma had a full-on collapse. She was barely breathing, and her heart was barely responding. She was rushed to the hospital completely unconscious. My mother was screaming in hysterics, and I cried my eyes out every night. The doctors gave her no chance. After 3 months of unconsciousness, they asked us, the family, to consider taking her off life support to let her go. By then, I hadn't spoken to my mother in years, but in that situation, of course, we start talking again. One day, my mother calls me crying and begging for advice. She asked, what should we do? Should we keep Grandma on the machines, or should we let her go? The hospital didn't want to keep her much longer. They wanted to transfer her to hospice. She occasionally breathed on her own, but the question was, if her condition crashed again, should we intubate her again if she stopped breathing? I loved my grandma 100 more times than my mother. She meant the world to me, but I also knew that she would never just want to exist, as she used to say, like a damn vegetable. She was a strong, amazing woman who always wanted to stay independent. So I told my mother, she's still alive now, she's still breathing, so let's hold on to that. But if she were to go to hospice, I don't think we should prolong her life by force. And at that moment, my mother's tone changed. She said to me, "Ha, I got you. I knew it. I knew you always wanted to off her. I recorded this. And you totally fell for it, you stupid. Now, the entire inheritance will go to me." At that point, I just hung up. 2 days later, my grandma regained consciousness. It took her almost 6 months to fully recover her strength and mobility, but she did it. She's been doing well ever since, and it's been about 6 years now, and she's fine. My mother's visited her many times, playing the recording over and over again, and she keeps repeating, "That beloved granddaughter of yours wanted to off you. Can you believe it?" But my grandma would always reply with, "Oh, you can F off. I wouldn't want to spend the rest of my life on a ventilator either. She was right." After some time, my grandmother wrote an updated will, one that can't be challenged by my mother. One that completely disinherits my mother. My grandma's doing well, and I love her more than anyone in the world, and my mother, well, she would have inherited something by legal succession had she acted like a human being. But now, she'll get nothing, and I know she'll never ever see this post in a million years, but I just wanted to say F you. Yeah, reading this post, I think we can all agree that OP's mother is an evil, evil person, and the updated will where OP's mother will get nothing when grandma passes, good, that's the way it should be. Like, I just never understand people who want others to die so they can get something out of it. And don't even get me started on that phone conversation that mom had with OP with the gotcha moment, and how she just kept replaying that part to grandma. Like, sometimes when you think you've read it all, guys, there's yet another person who crosses that line. And if you thought that mom was wild, listen to what this next OP has to say about their mother. So I'm in college, and I finally got my own bank card this year. Nothing fancy, it just helps me manage my money without having to ask anyone for every little thing. I was honestly proud because it felt like a small grown-up milestone. Well, last weekend, my mom came with me to the mall to buy stuff for my younger cousin's birthday. And the plan was simple, we grab a gift, maybe some snacks, and leave. Well, we get to the store and she picks a bunch of things, not just a gift. She picks like 3 outfits, shoes, a toy, and then randomly adds stuff for herself too. I quietly ask if we're staying in budget because I know how these trips go. She says, yes, don't worry. At the checkout, the total comes way higher than expected. She then looks at the total and then immediately looks at me like a solution just appeared. And she goes, "Put it on your card." I of course tell her I can't because I'm on a tight student budget and I didn't plan for all of this. She then laughs like I'm joking and she says, "Well, why do you even have a card if you can't use it for family stuff?" That's when I say that I could pay for the actual gift, but not anything else, because that's literally what we came for. My mom then gets annoyed right in front of the cashier and she says, "Wow, so you're counting money with your own mother? I raised you and this is how you act?" Now, I know for a fact that she's trying to goad me into blowing up, but I try to stay calm and I repeat that I'm happy to cover the gift and that's it. And then she says the wildest thing. She says, "Fine, give me the card. I will keep it with me so I can use it when needed. You're clearly not responsible enough. You are greedy and you are selfish." Listening to her say that, I'm thinking, what? I just tell her no, and then she starts doing that dramatic sigh thing, and she says to the cashier, "Kids these days, they're so damn selfish. They forgot who paid for their whole life." We end up paying separately, and she sulks the entire ride home. She later tells my aunt that I refuse to help family, even though I literally paid for the gift we came to buy. I'm sorry that I didn't want to cover the $100 or so worth of extra items. And the funniest part is she didn't want to help. She just wanted control. The moment I said that I have a boundary, suddenly my card became community property and my budget became a personal insult. I just hate it when you have to deal with parents who think your money is still their money just because they raised you. Holy moly. And this is the kind of stuff that makes some parents wonder why their kids are no contact with them. And the fact that she tried to put OP on the spot to guilt them and embarrass them into overspending, she knew exactly what she was doing. And the funny thing is, she embarrassed herself because you know that cashier probably went to the back and told everyone about that Karen mom who was bullying her kid and trying to steal their money. That said though, the mentality of, we raised you, you owe us is stupid. Like, have the kid, be responsible, end of story. Nobody owes you jack, Karen. So one thing I've learned to accept in life is that I will forever be mistaken as younger than I am. I loved it as a kid because there was plenty of situations that I took advantage of, like getting away with the kids under certain age eat for free thing, way longer than most. But as I've gotten older, it's more exhausting having to constantly prove my age. Most people don't believe it until they see my ID, which has gotten me into a few unique situations, but I have gotten used to it and I try to be understanding. I just laugh it off afterwards, calling it good. I mean, I get it. I'm 20 years old, and honestly, I look the exact same as I did when I was like 13, 14. It also doesn't help that I'm 5 feet tall, so yeah, it's easy to mistake me as a child, or at least a teenager. Anyways, I recently had a baby, a beautiful little girl. It was an amazing experience, and I adore her. She's my entire world. That being said, it was also very rough on my body. I'll spare you the details, but just know there was a lot of bleeding. I end up needing a blood transfusion, and I spent an extra day in the hospital, and I'm still recovering from the whole ordeal. This little fun incident took place on our way home from the hospital. Now, I'd originally planned to breastfeed, but because of everything that happened, and the fact that I wasn't really in a state to do so, we agreed that formula was the way to go. Just one slight issue though, we had no formula at home. This meant that we needed to make a quick stop by the grocery store sooner than later. Once inside, it quickly became clear that I wasn't doing well. I was shaking from the pain and exhaustion, and I didn't want to return to the car. So hubby and I decided that I would sit with the baby on a bench by the bathrooms while he collected the items, and then we could leave. Now that should have been simple enough, right? No, at least not for me. My husband had been gone less than a minute when some older lady starts walking to the bathrooms. I assume that she planned to use them, but she got sidetracked by my baby since she walked right past them and towards me. Now, I really thought nothing of it at first, since I know it's kind of a normal mom thing to have people fawn over them, which is what I was expecting to happen. As I'm sure you can guess, that's not at all what happened. I smile at the woman, excited to show off my adorable newborn for the first time. I even turned the car seat she was in towards this woman so she could get a better look. But instead of smiling back at me, she frowns. And instead of cooing over how precious she looks, this lady starts lecturing me about teen pregnancies, yada yada. The woman tells me that I should be ashamed of myself, that the youth of today is ruining America, how I should pray for forgiveness, and a bunch of other stuff that I honestly don't remember. I was shocked into silence at first, which she took as an invitation to keep going. Finally, the woman asked me, "Are your parents embarrassed to have a whore for a daughter?" Hearing that come out of her mouth, I thought, okay, first off, there are so many other situations this could be. What if I'm babysitting? What if the baby was my sister and I was watching her while our mom or dad used the bathroom? Or maybe she's my cousin. Like, this lady literally had no idea what the situation was. She just decided she knew and she needed to say something about it. It was only after this event that I realized how messed up her actions were, since in the moment, I was just taken back by her audacity. In this moment, I was in a lot of pain. I was exhausted and flooded with hormones. I think that's the reason I reacted the way I did. I'm not confrontational, nor am I the one who usually has witty comebacks in stressful situations. That's my husband. Normally, I would just tell her that I'm 20, married, and to mind her own business before frantically texting my husband. Normally. Instead, I looked this woman dead in the eyes, the most deadpan look on my face, as I calmly told her, "This is my baby sister. Our mom just died giving birth to her." Now, to say that this woman was shocked was an understatement. The woman's eyes went wide, her face turned red, and she seriously froze for a bit before quickly turning around and walking away. I immediately start shaking and crying. Luckily, I didn't have to wait long for my husband's return, who was immediately freaking out when he saw the state I was in. I just quickly told him to pay for the items so we could go home and cuddle our baby. Once we were doing exactly that, I told him what happened. And while he was still worried about me, he did say he was proud of me for putting that bitch in her place. Honestly, well frickin' played, OP. And with Karen's reaction, I bet she'll think twice about commenting on someone else in the future. At least that's what one can hope, right? But yeah, sometimes you just have to say the most extreme things when someone comes at you like that. And for Karen to not even offer an apology after that, why am I not surprised, guys? Like, I just don't get how some people have to voice their opinions like they think it matters. Like, what are you getting out of lecturing a complete stranger, Karen? Get a hobby or something and mind your own business. This took place well over a decade ago, and I thought I'd share. It was around 9:55 p.m., and the store was minutes from closing. I was stocking the bread per my manager's request. The store was empty. Now, I don't really know why, but I just start leaving the bread aisle and walking toward the front of the store where the registers are. And looking back, I think I heard my manager say something, and I figured there was a customer to ring up. Suddenly, I see 3 men in hoodies, masks, and one of them has a weapon, a gun. They see me exit the bread aisle and they begin shouting. I think one of them yelled, "Come on, move," while pointing the gun at me. There was a ton of nervousness and urgency in their voices and a lot of, "Come on, let's go." I just immediately went numb. My only thought was, is this actually happening? I kept my head forward, and my manager was being roughly thrown to the ground under the registers where the vault is. That's when one of them rushed to me and then put his hand on my shoulder and walked me to the registers where my manager was. They were shouting at me to open the register, which I couldn't do without a key. They just kept screaming at me to open it now. I tried, but for some reason, it just kept saying that there was already a sign-in on another register, and honestly, I couldn't open anything. And I want to note that sales associates are useless in a robbery, FYI, to future robbers. I just kept my hands up near my face. I never looked at any of them once they walked me to the registers. I made no statements the entire time and never engaged any of them. The guns were pointed at me, and I couldn't believe this was happening. The focus of the robbers quickly was diverted to my manager when they realized that he held the keys, and he was the only one who could help them. They were shouting at him, etc. Suddenly, the vault pops open, and they took all the money. But then, one of the robbers was insistent on opening the register after they'd already hit the vault, saying, "We've got this money, but we can get more." The other 2 were panicking. They were waiting at the door, freaking out, saying, "Let's go, man, we've got enough money." They were begging the third guy to go. And seriously, the panicky vibe made me even more nervous in a way. Once they got the money, and this all took maybe 2 minutes in total, I became terrified. I was prepared to take a bullet any second because I know that some robbers get rid of the cashiers once they get the cash. But just like that, it was over. They ran out as soon as they hit the register and the vault. And that's when a customer, a woman, comes out of nowhere with a shirt over her face. I guess she was hiding in the store. I forgot what she was holding, but she says, if they're taking stuff, then so am I. I was just shaking at this point, and I didn't care at all. When she left, my manager rushes to close the door and lock it. I end up quitting my job the night of, and I never went back. I never even followed up to find out what came of the situation. And what a horrifying situation to be in, and seriously, for that one customer to add insult to injury with her theft, like, I don't even know what to say to that, guys. Like, I guess if someone's already robbing the store, it makes it okay for you to steal as well. And I know OP said they never followed up, but I hope at the very least, somebody was caught from that night. I'm an 18-year-old female, and I have two cousins, a 12-year-old male and a 5-year-old female, that live with my aunt, 34 years old. Now, my aunt is a self-proclaimed hippie. She doesn't believe in modern medicine, vaccines, and she even denied that my cousin needed glasses, despite his complaints over the years. She, however, does believe that everything we eat should be naturally grown, fat-free, and organic. This will be important later on. Well, half a year ago, my aunt loses her job and she moved in with us. I was put in charge of taking care of my cousins while she job hunts, which I don't mind doing since they're very well behaved. When I started taking care of them, my aunt sat me down in front of a very long list of what they can't eat. The list said no fat, no spices, no sugar, no carbs, no dairy, among many other requests that I found ridiculous. I should also state this, both of my cousins are skinny, to the point that some would consider them malnourished, so the fact that they had to diet on top of that was also ridiculous. At first, I obeyed her rules because they're her kids, not mine after all. But after a while, I started noticing how the diet affected the kids. They never had enough energy to do anything, they didn't want to run or play like most kids their age, and they just looked miserable in general. It was then that I decided to start putting forbidden food into their meals. After a while of me doing so, they both gained some healthy weight, and they began playing like most kids their age. My aunt didn't notice anything, so that's when I got bold, and I took my cousin to the optometrist to get his eyesight checked. Turns out, he was minus 1.25 on both eyes. I bought him glasses, and I told him to wear them whenever my aunt wasn't around, and he thanked me, saying he can finally see the chalkboard at school. Last week, we were playing at a park, and I gave my youngest cousin, 5 years old, some mini Oreos to share with her friends on the playground. I later heard crying, only to see my aunt dragging the 5-year-old towards me. Apparently, she was walking by the park when she saw her eating the Oreos. Then, she noticed the 12-year-old wearing glasses, and she absolutely lost it on me. She starts berating me on how I could go behind her back and feed her children trash food, and now I've poisoned them, and how I've crippled them by making them wear unnecessary things, the glasses. She then told me that I'm lucky she's not gonna report me to the police for this, as what I'm doing is abuse. She then confiscated the glasses, and now she's moved temporarily to my other aunt's house while I'm grounded till further notice. My grandma's the only one supporting me on this issue, saying that my aunt borderline abuses those kids by depriving them of food and medical assistance, and that I did the right thing by trying to put a stop to it. My friends are conflicted. Some say that it's not my place to dictate how others raise their kids, and some say they would have done the same. Here's another important note. The dad walked out 4 years ago after he had enough of my aunt, and she refuses to let him see the kids. Update number 1. I'm currently trying to get in contact with my cousin's father and inform him of the situation. If I fail to do so, I'll probably try to reach out to my aunt one last time. I'm trying to take the most peaceful route since I don't want my cousins to go through the process of CPS investigation. But if neither of those things work and nothing changes, I'll be definitely contacting CPS. The kids have been in a healthy weight range ever since I started feeding them, so I don't think they'll show any signs of malnourishment in an investigation. I'm just very scared that they might end up in the care system upon report, and I don't want to put them in this situation. Update number 2, we found the dad. Since I couldn't get a hold of his phone number, I've sent him and who I presume to be his new wife an email explaining the situation and how I found them. I also sent some old pictures of him and I, alongside my phone number, asking him to call me when possible. Last update. I did get in contact with the dad, and I've spoken to both him and his new wife, and a lot of things are starting to make sense now. For those asking why he wasn't a part of their lives after he left, well, the story's really complicated, so I'll sum it up in some points. Number 1, the court almost always gives mom custody. Number 2, going to court is expensive and he couldn't afford a decent lawyer after the divorce. Number 3, he got arrested for a crime at 19, smoking you-know-what, so he got ruled out almost immediately as an incompetent father. Number 4, some personal issues I won't get into. And lastly, my aunt is crazy. On the bright side, after hearing out what's happening with the kids, he's rushing back to the city. From what I've gathered, he does have some money saved up, and his new father-in-law agreed to give him more money for a really good lawyer. I'm currently packing a suitcase. They should be in town in 4 to 5 days, and by that time, I'll move in with a good friend of mine. I didn't tell anyone besides Grandma he's coming, so once he gets here, we would contact CPS together while his lawyer contacts my aunt with the custody case. The idea is to attack the issue from as many directions as possible, so she'll have no loophole to escape with. My only concern is I don't know how the 12-year-old will react to his dad returning. Over the years, his feeling towards him constantly changed, from hate to love and back again, which is understandable considering the circumstances. I also contacted the 12-year-old school counselor like some of you suggested, and she's agreed to write a report regarding the glasses, but she's refused to address the dietary restrictions. I don't understand why, but considering she'll be writing a report, I feel like I can't complain too much. This past week has been insane, and I don't know how I feel regarding anything at this point. I have a feeling that this is only the beginning, and the real battle will start once their dad arrives. I don't know if I'll update again, but I do know this. I'm gonna get my cousins out of this one way or another. Thank you for all the legal advice and emotional support. I really appreciate it. Wish me luck. So yeah, it's been a while since OP has updated, but all I can say is I hope those kids are doing well and they're in a much better situation. And a good majority does agree that OP did the right thing by getting CPS and the dad involved. Like, not being able to afford quality food and vision care is one thing, but having the means to do so, but choosing not to all because of some personal beliefs, the aunt being a hippie, in my opinion, that's not right at all. And this person comments, social worker and mandatory reporter here. Those kids are being neglected and they need CPS intervention. Malnutrition at this stage will have lifelong effects. And not letting your cousin wear glasses when they're so obviously needed is abuse. Guys, let me know your thoughts on this post. If you're in OP's shoes, are you doing the same thing? And that, my friends, brings us to another end of our entitled people. Guys, I hope you enjoyed today's stories. If you did, hit that thumbs up. And if you're not subscribed, consider subscribing so you don't miss these crazy stories. And if you missed the last episode on the channel, it's a malicious compliance episode, where OP's psycho boss gets taught a lesson after he refuses to give OP their bonus. It's such a wild story, so go check it out if you haven't. And myself and Stevie Boy will see you guys in the next one. We love you.